Alright everybody, so with Donkey Kong Bonanza making a huge impression on really all Nintendo fans, coming in, crashing in, smashing in, I don't even know how to explain it, but either way, Donkey Kong Bonanza has been a huge hit, maybe that's what I should say, a huge hit in Nintendo fans and for Switch 2 fans. You know, a lot of people, when the Switch 2 came out, they were like, yeah, I don't know, what games do we have? You know, we got Mario Kart World, excited for that. We got, you know, Age of Imprisonment coming out. We got Pokemon, but that's like a Switch 1 game as well. I don't really know about that. But Donkey Kong Bonanza seemed to be like the system seller. Now, Mario Kart World, of course, is also a system seller, but for a different fan base. And a lot of people, you know, the people who play Mario Kart World and the people who play Donkey Kong Bonanza religiously, either way, right, are two different people. Now, they may like both games, but it seems that they're for two different audiences, so that's probably why Nintendo released them together. But Donkey Kong Bonanza seemed to be that, like, big AAA game that everyone wants to play. Of course, Mario Kart, everyone loves Mario Kart. Of course, like, of course, everyone wants to play Mario Kart because it's Mario Kart. But you know what I'm saying? Like, the Donkey Kong Bonanza seems to be that new, fresh game. Kind of like how Breath of the Wild was for the Switch 1. Now, I'm not saying, I mean, you can compare the two. You could say Donkey Kong Bonanza is better. You could say Breath of the Wild is better. I'm not trying to compare the two. You know, I think they're both fantastic, 10 out of 10 games. I'm just saying, both of them, you know, kind of seem to be that big AAA game for the Switch launch, you know, and Mario Odyssey, of course, another that didn't come out right when the Switch launched, but it was pretty soon after, and a lot of people loved it. You know, a lot of people were saying that, well, it is confirmed that Donkey Kong Bonanza is made by the people who made people who made Mario Odyssey. So Donkey Kong Bonanza seems to be that AAA game, which a lot of people were really excited about. But that leads us into our topic of the day. What if this game was made by the Mario Odyssey team? A lot of people are saying, well, either Mario Odyssey 2 is not happening, or it's not happening for a long time, or whoever's working on the new 3D Mario game is not the same team as Mario Odyssey. Now, Nintendo seems to be kind of like they're not really big on sequels. Now, they have made sequels in the past, don't get me wrong. You got Mario Galaxy 2, you had Tears of the Kingdom, which was a direct sequel, but they seem to just kind of only make a sequel if they have a really, really good idea, or they had more things they wanted to get out in the first game, so they just, you know, made a sequel for. Or if, you know, the first one does so well, they're like, okay, we have to make a sequel. But then after that, there's like, okay, they don't usually make a third game. In fact, I can't even think of a Nintendo game that is like the third one, you know, like a direct sequel. I mean, you have like old, like I guess in the 80s and 90s, whatever, you had, you know, Mario 3, right? Super Mario Bros. 3, which, okay, I guess that counts, but it's, I don't know, Nintendo seems to be not big on sequels, and if it is a sequel, they only make one sequel, and then that's it. They move on to something else. So, in my opinion, it seems that the Mario Odyssey team, you know, went straight to working on Donkey Kong Bonanza, which is great, that's confirmed. But I don't think they're the same people who are working on the new 3D Mario game. Now, it could be that Nintendo, like, split off the teams and it's like, all right, you part of the team make Donkey Kong Bonanza, and then you part come with us. We have another group that we want you to work on this new 3D Mario game with. It could be. That definitely could be the case, but I'm getting the vibes that Nintendo is not making Mario Odyssey 2, that when this brand new 3D Mario game comes out, it's going to be something completely different. Now, a lot of people are getting tired of hearing about this, you know, it's like, and honestly, we just need to stop talking about it. Like, this might be the last video I make about it, probably not, who knows, but, you know, like, we thought it was going to be announced years ago, and then we were like, okay, wait, but we're sure it's going to be announced when the Switch 2 gets announced. No, and then we were like, oh, but it makes sense that Donkey Kong Bonanza and Mario Kart World wanted to be together. They didn't want to put a 3D Mario and Mario Kart World together, so they're waiting till this direct, and then that direct passed by, and then now we're here. And there's no 3D Mario. I don't know, guys. I think it's time we kind of just set it aside and let it go. And I know that there's people who's never going to let it go, but there hasn't been an inkling of it. There hasn't been one peep about a brand new 3D Mario. Now they're gonna make one. Like that I think that's part of the reason why so many people are frustrated by this. Like, because we know it's going to happen. The problem is we don't really know when. 3D Mario sells so well. It's system sellers. It's the type of game that just, works so well with audiences. It's Mario. Of course they're gonna make another one. Like, like with the 2D Mario games. People are like, oh, is 2D Mario dead? Because, we have 2D Mario Maker, right? So, like, why would we need another one? No, and then they made Mario Wonder. You know what I'm saying? The 2D Mario games and the 3D Mario games are the type of games that Nintendo will never let go. And Mario Kart as well. They're not just gonna shove it to the side. The problem is when, and that so many people are getting so frustrated with the when. It's just, it's frustrating. Because I understand, like, I've been, I don't want to say, like, be grateful, but at least, the fans of these games can rest easy that it will happen eventually. But maybe that's a curse in and of itself, too. Because, like, with other games, it's like, Cuphead, one of my favorite games of all time. I do not know if there will ever be a Cuphead 2. Because it sold well. And I know the company is working on something else, which I'm excited for. But I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's going to be Cuphead 2, So at the very least, we know it's a new 3D Mario is coming because they sell so well. They always make them for every single system. It's Nintendo as the main character, of course. So many people are getting so frustrated with the when. And it's hard. I get it. It's one of those things that you just kind of have to forget about, but also you can't forget about it because it's coming. It's just, it's hard. I know. It's frustrating. And honestly, if you want my opinion on it, I don't know when it's coming anymore. I was, sure that it'd become with the system launch, but then I'm like, oh wait, no, it makes sense. They wanted to put Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza together, so it's got to be at the next one. And there's going to be people saying, well, it's at the next one. It's at the next one. It's at the next one. And it's always, I'm going to try my best to stop talking about this. I think all of us should. But as that next direct comes around, we're going to be thinking in the back of my mind, is there a possibility? Like, heck, they didn't announce it for the 40th anniversary. Here's the thing. They didn't announce it for the 40th anniversary of Mario. So, even if the game's not done yet, they could have just given us, like, a tease for it. So, the fact that they didn't tells me that the game is not coming out soon. A few years at the least. It'll definitely happen for the Switch too, but it still may be a while, because why wouldn't they just give us, even if it wasn't like fully finished yet, why didn't they just give us like a tease for it for the 40th anniversary? Now Nintendo's trying this whole thing where they don't want to announce games before they're done or whatever, but it was the 40th anniversary of Mario, and there seemed to be something missing there. Why didn't they just give us a little tease and say, hey, it's not going to be done soon, but we're working on it? Why couldn't they just do that? The fact that they didn't do that tells me that we won't be getting this game for a long time. I am sure it'll happen for the Switch too, right? Because Nintendo isn't just going to let it go. But when in the Switch 2 generation is the problem? Let me know down below in the comments what you guys think. Do you think that 3D Mario's just around the corner? Saying that for a while. Or do you think it's a long ways away? I'd love to hear your thoughts. And of course, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and we will see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.